There is luxury, and then there is ultra luxury.
I don't like any of you.
Drake is a legend in the music world, and as a result, he's worth over $170 million. And of course, due to that, he has lots of expensive toys and items that are worth more than you and your life. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. $2 million shoes. How is it possible that there's a pair of shoes out there that cost $2 million? Simple. It's all about how they were made and what they were made of. First and foremost, it should be noted that these are Air Jordans, which make them expensive by default. But more than that though, these are a pair of Air Jordans that are literally solid gold. Now, should you be wondering how solid gold shoes equals $2 million? Here's how it breaks down. Based on the weight measurements and comparing them to 2016 gold prices, as that's when the shoes were made, that alone makes the amount around $1.9 million, which alone is pretty impressive. But you're forgetting something. The gold wasn't just made into shoes, it had to be sculpted into the perfect Air Jordan shape that you are seeing. Matthew Senna is the one who sculpted the shoes, and if you could see all the detail, you know that he didn't skimp on anything. Quality is most definitely a factor when trying to base a price on something, and the replication of the Air Jordan likeness is uncanny here. But what might be the most ironic part about these shoes is that Drake made sure to use the hashtag "these are not to wear" when displaying them on Instagram. That's right, Drake literally has a pair of shoes that he cannot wear because he can. And let's be honest, if you could show up the world in this way, wouldn't you? Plus, if he ever sold them, he could add the Drake value to them and probably get $2.5 to $3 million back. Private jet. Let's jump to a really expensive item Drake owns, shall we? To be completely on level here, when it comes to being rich, you have access to things that other people can't get. And for many celebrities, one of the ultimate achievements of being super rich is that you can get insane things like private jets. Because with them, you can start to travel around the world without having to wait for helicopters and lines and tickets and what have you. You just call the field where the jet is at, say you need to take off, and go. Drake travels a lot, as I noted before, and because of that, it makes sense that he himself would want to get a private jet. And recently he did, but not any jet. Oh no, that's not Drake's style. He got himself a custom Boeing 747. Oh, and he named it Air Drake. But here's the important part. Because of the size of the 747, he's able to put a lot of things in there, such as a couple of bedrooms, and a living area, and a couple of relaxing areas, and so on and so forth. It's a fully customized jet, and it's all for Drake. Now, you might have heard of celebrities renting out private jets, but Drake went on to Instagram to be clear and say that he has bought it in full. It's his now and forever, or until he decides he doesn't want it anymore, whichever comes first. As such, prices for everything range from $75 million to over $200 million. Either way you look at it though, Drake didn't skimp on getting this jet. His mansion. When it comes to celebrities, you all but expect that they have a massive mansion, one with all sorts of amazing features. And yeah, Drake definitely fits the bill with his massive mansion.
There is luxury, and then there is ultra luxury, and that is what the builder behind Drake's mansion under construction has created.
But most ironically, Drake got this mansion at a steal. You see, the asking price for the mansion that he lives in right now was originally $27 million. That's a lot. But somehow, someway, Drake got the mansion for only $7.7 million. That is a massive discount, and there had to be some factors going into that. So what exactly does Drake offer in said multi-million-dollar mansion? Well, if you like to swim, this place has you covered, for it has numerous pools, and I do mean numerous. There's one that is a full-on Olympic swimming pool, but that's just one of them. There are also other pools and a pool that goes into a grotto, and that grotto has waterfalls. Because why just stop at a basic swimming pool? Not impressed? Well, if you're into sports, this mansion has a tennis court, as well as a place to play beach ball. Oh, you have horses? No problem. This place has a space for them and a training area too. It has a massage area, a home theater, a gym, and apparently one of the best marbled bathrooms in existence. There's way too much to say about Drake's mansion, so let's just stop and appreciate how he got it at a bargain and then pimped it out. Bugatti Veyron. Now it's time to talk about the top car that Drake owns, or in this very special case, owned. He once bought a very limited edition Bugatti Veyron, which is top tier in every way that matters. It's considered one of the top status symbols for rich people, and there's a good reason for that. The car looks sleek, feels epic, and can drive over 250 miles per hour. There are a few catches, mainly, its gas mileage is terrible in the city. It's meant to go fast and only that, which is maybe why Drake sold it after a while, but when he did have it, it was $1.2 million to buy. It later sold for about 3 times that because it was so limited, but it counts as he spent a lot of money on that car. Bentley Continental GT Speed Convertible. Drake loves his cars, just like many other rappers out there. In terms of numbers, he's got an army of cars thanks to his massive money bin, if you will. There are many to choose from and we'll be detailing a few later on, but let's start with the Bentley Continental GT Speed Convertible. As a convertible, you can expect this to be a car that Drake uses when he wants to go out into the country and experience nature at its finest. But as a Bentley, he can also expect to have full-on comfort, as Bentley doesn't skimp on the interiors. And if you think that this car isn't capable of high speed, then you're wrong, because the Bentley can go 200 miles per hour at top speed. So if Drake needs to go fast to get somewhere, or just wants to see how fast his car can go, then yeah, he pulls out the Bentley. The interesting thing here is that compared to some of the other cars he has, this one is a little cheap, but you'll need to get $300,000 if you're hoping of owning this car. And guess what? This is one of the least expensive things we're going to show you on this list. Handbags for his future wife. Drake is many things, but one thing that stands above the rest is that he is a man of dignity and class. Most times. Drake is apparently a romantic, and as if to prove this, he's already stocking on purses for his future wife, just to make sure that when they meet, she won't have to spend a dime on them. Don't believe me? He confessed this during an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, noting,
I'm a fan of Hermes, Birkin. It was one of those things that, I just started collecting as well for, I guess, like the woman that I end up with one day. So I have a fairly vast collection of Hermes to offer somebody.
By Hermes, he means Hermes Birkin, a very extravagant and very expensive handbag line. In fact, the reason that people are getting them is that they can only be afforded by those who have the money. The minimum price on one of these handbags is $11,000, and they can go as high as $300,000. And notice in his section, he says he's got a collection of these items saved up for his future wife, which could well and truly mean that he spent millions and millions of dollars on this purse collection, just so he can hope that his potential wife will be happy with them once she sees them. Now sure, we don't know who his potential future wife is going to be, but that's not the point here. The point is that he's making an effort to be the man that he needs to be for his future wife, whoever she may be. And that means having the class and style to get her the things that she will likely want before she even asks for it. That's dedication, that's class, that's Drake. The Lamborghini Aventador Roadster. And back to the cars we go. When you hear the word Lamborghini, instantly you think of a high quality and high priced car. You think that if someone owns that kind of car, they're rich. Very rich even. And this is definitely the case for the Lamborghini Aventador Roadster. This car is built from the ground up to be for the rich. It can go 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. That's a fast pickup. Its top speed is a blistering 216 miles per hour. And you know that Drake is up for going fast in his cars. He said so himself. Though don't ask me how many speeding tickets he has. I honestly don't know. Drake loves this car so much he used it in a music video. And for $500,000, you know he's going to show it off when he can. Plus, it's just a sweet looking car.
I want everybody to just take in the fact that like Fred VanVleet's Turks and Caicos 10 is just on 10 million and that boy's looking like Frederico.
The Toronto Raptors. Alright, yes, on a literal level, Drake does not own the Toronto Raptors, but that doesn't mean he's not a part of the organization. He holds the title of Global Ambassador, a literal first of its kind for the NBA. Now, unlike Jay-Z, Drake doesn't own any stake in the team despite his official affiliation with them. However, he does play a role for them. They often do things like Drake Night at the show and hand out t-shirts for fans. One time, Drake even gave away a pair of his Air Jordans, which someone then sold for $100,000.
Looking over me, of course. I know, honey. I know. Another winning night. What else is new? Budget approved. Yeah.
I'm not sure I can blame them, you know? They had proof they were Drake's and such. So, moving on, as noted, this is a very rare kind of partnership for the NBA, but it's honestly because of Drake not just being from Toronto, but him building up Toronto as much as he can. He loves giving back to his own community and helping people who are struggling. He's very much a philanthropist, and that has helped him get a lot of goodwill in the community. The Raptors saw this and gave him the Global Ambassador title. Technically, his role is undefined, but more than likely he's a visual mascot of sorts to bring more attention to the team. Plus, he gets really great seats at games and all kinds of other perks. So not only is he building himself up in this case, but he's also building up his own brand, which in the music industry is everything. Plus, the NBA gets to stay modern by teaming up with one of the biggest musical stars in the world, and one in their hometown, which builds up their own brand with their hometown fans. It's very much a win-win situation. But just as important in all of this is what happened recently in the NBA. Not only did the Toronto Raptors get into the NBA Finals for the first time, but they also beat the Golden State Warriors, who were the champs 3 out of the past 4 years, and Drake was there for every home game to support the team. In fact, he was so involved with the home games in terms of cheering them on, pumping them up, talking with the players, and even giving a shoulder massage to the coach that some people honestly declared was a Drake effect going on, and there were discussions about how to counter the Drake effect. And then, when they won, you can bet that Drake bought a bunch of expensive memorabilia to help commemorate his team winning the big title for the first time. You could probably even bet that he made a part of his house a shrine to the NBA Finals success of the Raptors. Plus, there's no doubt that his role is secure in the future, even if they don't win another title, because of how much he helped win the first one. And that's something money can't buy. Moving on to business ventures, Drake owns a restaurant in the city called Frings, and not to downplay the competition, he brought the one and only Rihanna to Real Jerk restaurant to do a music video together. So you see, he's not just making business, he's making other businesses famous. So he's not being greedy, he's actually being rather generous with how he treats his competition. Then of course he brings numerous concerts to the area and isn't afraid to surprise people by just popping up and bringing more attention to something. He even did a surprise appearance before a politician and made the city councilor very popular. That's power right there. But what about the youth of Toronto, you ask? Well, it's simple. He has the OVO brand, where he actually helps young singers and artists get off the street and into the studio. He even has a radio station blast out their beats so that they can get attention. This means that Drake truly is helping the next generation grow and evolve. And if they feel about Toronto the same way Drake does, they'll bring more life to the city as well. And that again helps the city. Plus, it saves them from having to go through the hard lives that many go through on the way to the top of the music industry. Now again, you can't exactly put a value on this, and it's obvious Drake doesn't own the city, but when it comes to the impact in the city, you could argue that there are very few people in this world that have more impact on Toronto than Drake. He's friends with just about every major player there, helps gentrify the city when he can, and is basically the city's mascot. How can you top that? Hint: you can't. And there you have it, a look at some of the most expensive things that Drake owns, both in the literal sense and the metaphysical sense. Which of these items do you feel is the most impressive of the bunch? If you could have one item from the list, what would it be? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe. I'm King Trending, and I'll see you next time.